Hi, it's Lisa. I'm working on a fall page today. Actually, the title is going to be whether it's something about fall or spring, because we have beautiful fall foliage starting in the background, and then we have what is normally a spring flower, the hydrangea, blooming in the foreground. And you can't really see all this from the photo, but my hydrangea bush was in full bloom in October. In the spring we had a late frost that killed everybody's hydrangeas. We got nothing out of them all spring or summer, and then suddenly mine bloomed right before fall. So I got this great photo of the hydrangeas in the foreground and the foliage in the background. So I want to do a page on this, and I have some fall papers from Cartabella. Their papers are these real thick. Everything I've ever gotten from them is just really thick, wonderful texture paper. So I know I love the stripe and the leaf paper. And then I have some cards here that I might be able to work in. And I have lots of fallish kinds of things. I still have these came in 2-piece in a bucket that I bought and never used for fall. I have some trees because I love trees and leaves. I have lots of stamps in that area as well that I haven't even pulled out, and I might do something with these wood cards. I don't know, they just sort of, to me, kind of went with things. But I want to talk in my page and show a little bit about the hydrangea, because the whole idea here is that we have sort of a mix of fall and spring at the same time of the year. So I need to get some blue in. And I went to my sketchbook and I picked out a sketch that would allow me to do some stenciling in the background, because I thought that would be a great way to get some of the blue in there, is to add blue in ink or mixed with modeling paste or whatever, but to get some kind of blue design in the background. So I have this sketch that has a design on the background and then has lots of layers, so I can get to use lots of my papers and maybe my cards and little trees and things here for some embellishment. I will probably flip this and put the photo over on the right, and this shows a vellum pocket for the journaling. I don't see myself using a pocket for this particular journaling. I might just use one of these journaling cards here to put my journaling on. I'm not decided for sure. I might put one of those wood cards, but I like the general layout of this and the opportunity to use lots of different papers on the page. So that's what we're going to get started with. Oh, and I have one other thing. I have a stamp with a hydrangea, so that may be another opportunity to bring in some of that look. So that's just something that I'm thinking about using. So I'm deciding which of the journaling cards that I want to use here, and it needs to be one that's a vertical or portrait orientation. The back of this paper is really pretty, so I know I'll use some of that maybe on this layout. And I've narrowed it down to 2 cards. I think I like the one with the trees on it. I'm going to be using the tree, or using some tree designs here. That one set with 3 trees, I just keep always putting it aside because I want to use it on a layout where I can use all 3 of them. And I have these trees from Maya Road, the chipboard ones, that really look great with that design on the journaling card. So I think that's going to be the winner. Now the papers, there are measurements on the sketch, and I can also measure, since I've printed this out, it prints out at 6 inches, so for a 12 by 12 page, so I can take any element on the sketch and double it, and that's really helpful also for positioning if you want to put things exactly like they are on the sketch. Now you can always modify, and I did end up doing that a little bit here. I dropped off one of the pieces of paper because I really want that printed paper there, the leaves, to show up more, and I may trim down the stripe. It might be a little bit large for what I'm doing here. And I did use some of the back of that one paper for the yellow strip. Now what I'm looking at is what's going to go around that and try to get some blue into this. I have this stencil. I cut this on my silhouette from a doily design, and my first thought was to do it with like modeling paste or something like that, but that's going to create a lot of bulk on the page that I don't want, so I thought, well, let me try misting. And I'm going to go through this really fast because you're going to see I try a lot of different things. So I've got a mist that comes out kind of greenish, another mist that's pretty but it's kind of light, and then one that's way too dark. I think mist would have worked really well for this page if I had been trying to duplicate a color that is normal in the scrapbooking world. But true blue colors are hard to find, and I don't have them in mist. I do have this older ink pad from Stampin' Up! That I could use, but on the
taupey colored paper, that's Sahara Sand, a cardstock from Stampin' Up, it gets kind of muddy looking. And so I'm not real crazy about that. So then I decided, well, let me try some paint. So I played a little bit with paint, and that gives me a beautiful color. Maybe just a little bit lighter than the one showing there. So I decided to go for it and put paint on this. I'm going to washi tape down my stencil and mix together a little bit of light blue paint into the darker color there. It takes a couple of tries to get it quite light enough. It's too much. All right, and I'm just going to apply this all around the stencil. And what you'll see is I kind of stayed within the stencil lines, and then I sort of started brushing around the edge, and I think that's where part of the problem begins to come in. That's why I cut out some of the video, because I'm just not crazy about this. You're going to see that it gives you lots of color, and a lot of it is going to be covered up. You're not going to see that much blue, but you still see quite a bit, and it's awfully bold. So it's just more than I wanted. And finally, I looked at maybe covering up some more of the bottom. And finally what I realized is that I loved that design, and why not just die cut it and use it the way it was intended instead of using it as a stencil? Because I love stencils. I did a whole class on stencils. Love working with them. But sometimes that's not what you need. And in this case, what I found by die cutting the element is, of course, I didn't have to put this directly on my pattern paper. I could cut it out and see how it worked first. And it's just the right amount of blue. So fortunately, paper has two sides. So I can just flip this over and lay my elements out. I'm going to see how it looks first before I finish punching out all the little pieces. And that's going to work out really nice. Now, I didn't cut the very center. I just cut out a big circle there rather than cut all the detail, because I knew the center part was going to be covered up. And I will have to work on the title down there at the bottom and make sure that it can show up on that blue lacy pattern. I went ahead off camera and painted my tree up there. I'm still trying to work in, though, some more hydrangea symbols and colors and stuff. So I thought that my whole idea all along was to put this element maybe on a piece of vellum, but it didn't show up when I just stamped it in brown to kind of give it a background. So I thought, well, okay, let me try blue. I'm still working on the vellum. I'm back to that old brocade blue ink pad from Stampin' Up. And that didn't come out so hot, but it's just going to disappear on that vellum. So then I decided to try some white paper. This particular process video is about as much of what doesn't work as what does work. And that I like. I do think I need to trim it down and not leave it in a square. So I'm going to do some type of oval. And I'm using the Creative Memories cutters. I've found out recently that they are making the blades for these again, that Creative Memories is carrying them. I've heard that. I haven't researched it and looked at the prices or anything. But if you have those templates and stuff, my understanding is you can buy the blades. Now what I ended up doing was doing a little bit larger version of that stamped image. And I wanted to cut it a little bit larger, I should say. But it's the same thing. It's that hydrangea in blue ink. And then I'm just going to go across it with a little bit of washi and some twine to make it a little more interesting and kind of really tie everything together. And then I'll put the tree on top of this. My tree, I painted it an orange color. And then I added a little bit of brown to my orange paint and just sort of sponged on a little bit more on the top there to give it a little bit more of a two-tone kind of effect. And I'll just sort of pull apart that twine so it kind of has some rough edges, a little more texture to it. All the elements for this, I'm going to go around them with some vintage photo ink. And the journaling card here, I'm going to do a separate video on how I put the text on that journaling card, so be looking for that. It'll be coming up on my YouTube channel in the next few days.
Okay, so we finally have our page done. Actually, once I finally got the blue part worked out, then the rest of it came together pretty quickly. We had several ways to add some color that was not in the pattern paper. Did the blue die cut, the blue stamped image here as a background for this chipboard embellishment, and then I printed my text in blue as well. Oh, and the font here for the thickers here are also blue. So we had several ways to incorporate a little bit of blue along with the golds and greens and oranges. So we got a lot of fall colors as well as that bright blue, and that's kind of what I wanted to convey because they all went together so well when I was looking out in the backyard, and I took some photos from the house. I think I took this one from outside as well. So we used our sketch. We just flipped it left to right, and I didn't do a pocket here. I just went ahead and put my journaling straight on there. I've repeated the washi tape that I had up here with this embellishment. So we got a similar look to the embellishments, but two pretty different things there. We had our measurements, but then altered those a little bit, dropped off one of the pieces of paper there, and instead of stenciling, of course, the die cut is what filled the bill for the background. So thank you so much for watching today. There will be a separate video coming along for how to do the little journaling card. I'm not sure right at this moment. It might be a few days before I get that out on YouTube, but that'll be coming along for how I print on the journaling cards, because I had a question about doing that. So anyway, look for that video coming up. Thank you so much again for watching. You can find the sketchbook information about that over on my blog, and there's a link in the description for this video. 52 sketches with all the measurements and swaps and suggestions and links to the process videos that were released all throughout 2014. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. Bye.